Hey folks, welcome back to the number 2 episode of the Sports Scientists podcast, and we have Marcos here as well. Woo!
Yay.
Boo. So I am none other than the one, the only, maybe the only, maybe there's others, Dr. Mike Israetel.
Maybe
PhD,
not other doctor.
That's true. Sport physiology, former professor, current lifter,
Current
and
guy.
jiu-jitsu guy. And as always, to my extreme left is Dr. James Hoffman. He's a real life red-blooded man, isn't he?
I mean, look at my outfit.
It's a pretty dad
I'm
outfit.
in dad mode right now.
Yeah.
We're gonna go fishing after this or what?
Let's do it.
You remember all those bad TNT movies, like on a Saturday morning, like before the Sinbad movies? That's what
Before the Sinbad movies.
the protagonist outfit right here.
That's true. And as always, this strange man in the middle here is Marcos Rodriguez, trainer at large, performance coach in New York City, to the wealthiest and the finest. And have you ever trained a swan?
Not yet. Do you have one for me to train?
Yeah. My butler owns a swan farm. He wants them to be...
So
he
you're-
wants
farm?
he wants them doped to the gills. Like, we just decided I want them to look like fucking alligators. Like,
That's awesome.
yeah. Are you drinking?
Yeah,
Fuck.
I live here.
Wow, this is going to be a fun podcast. So, what we're going to do, folks, as usual, and eventually we'll have guests and stuff, I'm sure. If anyone ever wants to fucking come on here. We're going to answer your questions. So every now and again on my personal Facebook and on my Instagram at RP Dr. Mike, it'll probably be in the show notes. Mike Israetel on Facebook. We'll ask you guys questions for podcast answers. What we're going to do is we're going to answer them. We're going to answer them in a way that is, mildly entertaining for us. And then we'll answer, hopefully give you a real answer. And we got a bunch today. So, James, you seem to want to interrupt me.
Yeah, I do, because you brought up, I was thinking like we could do the anti-Rogan thing where like,
Nope.
it's like a secret.
Bite your tongue.
It's a secret like when people get invited on there, but we can invite people on, right? How hipster. How strange. Maybe if you ask a really bad question, we bring you in as a guest. Like
we're inviting
explain
Instagram
yourself.
trolls?
Yeah.
That'd be sweet.
That's not a good idea.
Those people are probably like,
Emotionally unstable.
What
enough.
murderers
about
we're making.
people who comment on YouTube videos?
they're not people. They're trolls. They're not
Bots.
human beings. And a lot of them are bots anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah, those are like, they're like basement dwellers.
I got burned because I made a Steven Seagal joke on Facebook and I got smashed with like 5 bots immediately.
Yeah, that's right. What do they say?
It's just like ads for
Movies.
weird shit, subscription shit.
Yeah.
Anybody seen Richie? Anybody know why he killed Bobby Lupo?
Oh.
Get him,
So,
Sticks.
funny story. You know Yasha.
Yes.
One of our friends, he had a buddy who was, Yasha's from Azerbaijan, and his buddy was Russian. And I don't think he like quite realized how Facebook worked versus the rest of the internet. So the guy had a real Facebook account, and he would go and click on links internally in Facebook, like liking porn sites and stuff like that.
Oh,
And it was
no.
like, Arkady just watched Banging Bitches 3, The Bus. And it was just like on his profile. Like
He
it
likes
was on his
Pornhub.
wall. And Yasha's just like, somebody has to tell him this is just like permanently on his Facebook.
He's checked in at X videos.
No, seriously, it was that bad. And it was like, oh man, it's just somebody has got to tell him there's like 2 parts of the internet, you know what I'm saying? The Google, was that browsing? The
like incognito
Incognito,
mode.
yeah.
I didn't know about that until like last year.
I knew about it a little bit before then, and I've been on it a lot.
That was like a huge life-changing epiphany for me.
Yeah. I don't actually consume pornography because I think it's destructive of the soul.
Now we're talking my style.
Now we're talking
Thank
your
you.
language. Yeah.
Thank you.
The karmic energy is all wrong. The chi is in and out.
You're wasting energy for no reason.
Yeah.
Anyway,
Tumblr.
have fun with that beard, James.
Dick.
Aren't you drinking coffee? That's poisonous. The
You know what?
caffeine is all
Get
bad
out.
for you.
Get out.
See ya.
Marcos
First question.
is feeling hostile
First
on
question.
this episode.
All right, Marcos hostile as usual. Here we go. First question is from Instagram. So I'll be
Ooh.
reading a lot of handles.
We're doing Instagram questions?
today's Instagram.
Oh, man.
Yes.
Graham Hurstjip says, when during a massing phase you start to spill over and want to implement a mini cut, would you make this aggressive and short, or slightly longer and less aggressive? Motherfucker, I'm aggressive and short.
So can I just chime in and say there's a good prefix to this discussion. It's called a mini cut.
Yeah, so make it as long and as not aggressive as possible. Lose 1/10 of a pound per year for the next 120 years.
I mean, so like,
Perfect.
this is what we get this question a lot on RP Plus, and it does start to get a little irritating because I feel like there's a group of people who can't decide if they want to mass gain weight and then cut it off later, or if they're basically just doing this cycle of like, I talked about this last time, but like they'll do a mass, but they don't really mass. They just kind of put some water weight on, fill up a little bit, maybe gain a pound or two. And then they're like, oh, I don't want to actually mass and put on muscle and get big because I don't want to get fat.
Yep.
So then they do this like mini mass, mini cut, mini mass, mini cut, and their net progress is basically zero.
Non-existent.
Yeah. And I think it's one of those, like, I say it all the time, but like, don't be scared. Don't be scared. Like, if you're going to mass, just accept that you're going to gain weight. And that's not a huge deal. And then you can cut it off later. But like trying to do like a 8 to 12 week mini cut, that's a regular cut. That's not a mini cut. The mini cut is short.
To the program, period.
It's funny. I had a debate with Eric Helms recently, and it was, as usual, not really much of a debate, just a really cordial discussion because we share a lot of views and I have very high esteem for each other. And he actually caught me out of left field because he was like, the 10 to 15% body fat range is good for massing, but there's no reason that most people can't go all the way up to 20% and still have pretty good nutrient partitioning and still get plenty of muscle. And I was like, fuck, he's right. But then, online, it's so difficult to say advice like that on Facebook because we're like, yeah, but 20% fat.
Time for donuts.
Blah, blah.
I've done masses at that weight before.
Same here. And I put on a shitload of muscle, man. That's how I put most of my natty muscle
over
on.
fat in the process very often, but
like 20% is not crazy, and it's nothing you can't fix with some cutting.
Exactly.
So.
However, know your audience, and I think 10 to 15 is more applicable to the people that are buying the program rather than 20% where people are going to be like, oh,
for sure,
off the rails.
Most people just don't even want to hear that.
I think maybe, and we might be guilty of presenting it in such a way, but I think people maybe have this impression that like if you're 20% or more, then you can't gain muscle. Right? Or that's not true.
No. You just gain a little bit less.
Just the relative ratio, right?
And it just takes you a lot longer to get back in shape with dieting. So I think just to answer this question realistically, I think so. It says when during a massing phase you start to spill over. So just careful about as James mentioned, it's
spilling
not
over your pants.
Right? Yeah, that's right. I can't see my dick. Never could. It's too small. So when you start to spill over, just make sure it's not just water weight kind of stuff, and make sure it's actually like when you start to gain quite a bit of fat. Remember, if you started about 10%. Even to get to 15%, that's 5% body fat. If you weigh 200 pounds, that's 10 pounds of fucking tissue, of fat. So if you gain no muscle at all, you have to gain at least 10 pounds of scale weight. And a lot of people will after 3 pounds will be like, oh, I'm too fat. Like, no, you're not. No, you're not. That's bullshit. So make sure it's real weight. After that, the question is aggressive and short mini cut or slightly longer, less aggressive. It really, aggressive is the rule for mini cuts. So always aggressive for mini cuts, lose probably between 1 and 2 pounds per week, right? Of tissue weight, probably closer to 2. And, if you're doing that, the length of the mini cut should be determined by how much leaner you need to get back to the whatever you want to restart a mass at. So if you're at like 17, 18% and you really want to get down to 10%, you're going to have to mini cut for 6 weeks pretty hard, right? But if you're at like 13% and after 2 weeks of mini, I've had this, I've mini cut for 2.5 weeks and I call my coach, Broderick, and I'm like, I can see crostrations on my abs. And he's like, you're done mini cutting. And I'm like, sweet. Okay. Mass back up. So as long as it takes to get you back into, remember, lean enough to productively mass, not stage shit. Don't go overboard.
Mike, I don't know if you agree with this or not, but I would say if you're going to take more than, I would say 4 to 6 weeks, and this is just me throwing some numbers out there. If you're going to plan on doing this for more than 6 weeks, why not just take it slower and do a regular cut?
Do a regular cut. Absolutely. Mini cut ends at 6 weeks. Because the advantage of the mini cut is that a lot of the rebound mechanisms don't really activate yet. But if you're losing weight for 8 weeks, etc., now you're starting to get rebounds. It's not worth it. Then you have to approach the whole thing just on a more conservative basis. And a lot of people, they get the duration wrong. The quicker you lose weight, the shorter amount of time you can sustain that for. So if you lose 4 pounds of tissue a week, you can do that for 2 weeks and be okay. You're not even getting any rebound from that. If you lose 4 pounds a week for 8 weeks, you're going to probably die, but you're just going to have this huge rebound and gain a ton of water weight, and you're going to be all fucked up, and your testosterone levels are going to go to hell, and you're not going to be able to do the snake diet to get jacked again.
Fucking snake diet.
Next question.
Next.
Mike Reardon 1. What's easy as fuck? Thanks, Mike, for having a
Reardon 2?
Yeah, I assume so.
Or 1.1?
Yeah, Mike Reardon, just Mike Reardon.
Mike Reardon Prime.
Your thoughts on German volume training for a bulking phase as natty or enhanced. Mike, we want to congratulate you. You actually won a prize today on the show. The award is using exclusively memes about exercise to convey an idea. Let's count the memes. Thoughts. That's a meme. Thoughts. Alex Viada, thoughts. German volume training meme. Bulking phase
Deutsche
meme. Natty meme. Enhanced meme.
Damn.
This is the most YouTube-esque question we've ever got.
So I think we probably want to break this one down into multiple questions because it's kind of a lot of thoughts.
First one, German volume training. Marcos, start us off.
10 by 10.
Yep. I never know if it's that 10 by 10 per session or per week. Per week, it's not terrible.
I think it's 10 by 10 per session.
Okay.
Per session. But God, man, I don't know. Everyone tends to overcomplicate things so much.
I can help out
There's
here.
a lot to say.
Yeah. So German volume training is basically like a really rigid application of increasing your training volume. In reality, should you be stuck to any fixed a set and rep scheme? No. What you need to do if you're trying to mass or you're trying to cut is train with what Mike and I have called the volume landmarks, which is your minimum effective volumes upwards of your maximum recoverable volume. So, for example, Mike has really big quads, and his anthropometry is really good for squatting. I'm confident, I can't speak for Mike, but I'm pretty sure if you did 10 by 10 at a reasonable intensity in the squat, you'd be broken for a little while.
Yeah, a week and a half.
It's not going to happen, right? Whereas somebody like myself, I could probably get away with it. It would be crushing and devastating, but because of the way I'm built and a number of other factors, I could probably shrug it off after a couple weeks. Somebody else might need upwards of 12 or 15 sets, like an untrained female, right? So it's not, German volume training is trying to take a one-size-fits-all approach to individualization, which does not work. You have to figure out what you can tolerate, what are the upper and lower bounds of your training, and there's not one style that can fit
and move from the lower bounds slowly to the upper bounds and then deload and repeat. I thought that's what most training is supposed to be. So maybe like a real world thing is start, something that gets you a little bit hit, but not too crazy, 6 by 10, and then slowly over several weeks move up to 12 by 10 or something like that.
You know who benefits a lot from the German volume training stuff?
Germans.
Germans, absolutely. It's the person who's relatively new to fitness, who doesn't understand what high volume training is, and it's their first kind of introduction to doing lots of sets and reps.
Yep. After doing 5,
and they're like, "Wow, I'm getting great results."
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
However, most people that I see doing GVT are doing like, oh yeah, hey man, I just did 10 by 10 on the squats. Now I'm going to go do 10 by 10 on the leg press. And it's like, you're missing the point.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
and
overkill for sure.
A lot of them also will try and maintain the same intensity.
Right. And it's just,
It's like now you're either underdosing or way overdosing.
So yeah, here's a big problem. Here's another correction to German volume training. You should split it at least halfway down the middle and do one set of down sets and a set of up sets. So maybe if you're squatting,
workloads, you mean?
so workloads, yeah. So I remember Ronnie Coleman once was interviewed. He's like, on a descend, I do this, and on an upsend, he literally said upsend. And the magazine editor just decided to keep that in there. Like, you're making Ronnie look
Did they
bad,
put quotes in there so they didn't look bad?
No, just put it in there. It's great, basically, let's say you're squatting, you plan to squat 300 pounds. You can do it for a challenging set of 10 by 10. I think a better idea is to squat 315 for 5 by 10 and then 275 for 5 by 10.
Yes.
Because that way you get the maximization of load and then you can put in your extra volume towards the late end. Basically, if you're squatting 300, the reps in reserve on set number 1 is going to be 10.
Right.
And then the reps in reserve on the last set is going to be 0. So you basically go all the way to failure. Why don't you keep the reps in reserve a little bit more stable so you can periodize over the next coming weeks?
How much of the first sets were junk volume, and then how much of the latter were training
the
to
first
failure?
couple of sets are just warm-ups. Why you piss away so much time warming up, right? Might as well get right to it.
Right.
Marcos, you are an expert in Austrian volume training.
yes, of course.
So can you tell us a little more about that?
Austrian volume training.
Yeah.
I work out all my body parts for 2 hours each every day.
Every 2 hours.
Every 2 hours, 365.
Very regimented.
That's it.
That's what it takes to become.
What are you doing here right now?
The
How does
Austrian
this-
oak. I got to go train. That's a pre-workout. That's not coffee.
All right, next part of this question. Natty or enhanced during a bulking phase. So first of all, during a bulking phase is good because your ability to recover is going to be enhanced anyway, just from eating more food. So if someone said, I want to do German volume training for the first time ever on a fat loss phase, I'd be like, you don't want to die.
Not a good
so
idea.
on a massing phase, better, right? So first of all, structure a little bit better. Don't just go 10 by 10, start 6 by 10, split the loads in half. And then in a bulking phase is good time to try it. And then we got natty versus enhanced.
So the thing with the natty versus enhanced is it's nothing unique to German volume training, right? Like the enhanced athlete can simply tolerate more volume than the non-enhanced athlete.
Yep.
And that's just on like the average, if we're just looking at averages across similar groups, right? So there's nothing new there. So German volume training might be more applicable to the enhanced athlete only because they can tolerate it better than maybe someone who is not, because that might be beyond what their maximum recoverable volume is. But that also comes down to the individual level.
Right.
Beat that one to death. That was good. Very good. Now on for some deep, real science. Some shit. Scott the sound guy.
The deep questions that can only be found on Instagram.
On Instagram only. Iron Horse 122836.
I wonder how many
Motherfuckers, is that
other
your numbers.
I wonder how many other iron horses there were.
Apparently, 122,835 other ones. So that's a really popular name, I guess. MCT oils. Are they useful? They're pretty useful for cutting anabolics. And if so, when to use them around a nutrition or training regimen and why?
You know, I don't really have a whole lot on this one, Mike. You want to?
MCT oils. Yeah, so MCT oils, MCTs in general, medium chain triglycerides.
Medium chain gang.
Sweet. You know, I saw an adult film once, adult feature called Busty Chain Gang.
I thought you weren't into the busty scene
I never watch porn.
ever.
No, it's destructive to the soul. That's
Right.
this.
It's demeaning also
To yourself?
to men.
To men. It's true. I need a special princess, not just some random girl. I need to be treated right. So in any case...
Wait, hold on. I thought you weren't into the busty scene.
When you are 17 years old and a movie comes on Cinemax at 2 in the morning, you watch it. I have a fucking
Adult
choice.
Mike's not into the busty scene.
I go through my phases.
Wow,
but
you had
generally,
Cinemax
no.
at 17. Must be nice.
My parents went through a phase of like
Parents?
getting all the special. Oh, you didn't have parents. That's right.
So
The streets. I forgot.
That's the greatest moment of your life is when you're a teenager and you discover that there's like TV porn on after like 10
was
o'clock.
incredible.
Yeah,
It was
you're
incredible.
like, what?
It was just yeah.
yeah, you guys should be getting sleep instead. Quality of sleep. Go back to that first episode.
Honestly, I can't tell you how many nights I stayed up too late
Too late watching.
watching
wasting
porn
time.
because it was like mind blowing.
Yeah, it was incredible. I just kept waiting for like the S&M themed scenes, which I'm not into at all.
Medium chain triglycerides.
So MCTs are fats.
I like how you're the one who's like cracking the whip. Get
You're
back on
supposed to be
track.
the fun guy.
You're the fun guy.
I am the fun guy.
So MCTs, what they're cool because they're not really prone to get stored. So when you eat them, they actually digest much quicker than other fats. They pass through various membranes in the cell quicker. They're used in the mitochondria to generate energy relatively fast. They're not like longer chain fats, which tend to be more likely to be stored and or burned. The good news is that's cool. It create a fun source of energy. So if you eat some MCT oils in your diet, like when you're at work or whatever, it tends to slow you down less than fats. The bad news is they suppress fat burning just as well because you eat the MCTs, motherfucker, you're not burning your own fat cells anymore. So when people are like, eat MCTs because they fucking burn fat, like, yeah, they burn themselves, you dumb asshole, while your fat cells sit there and don't change in size. So there's not free fucking calories. There's another problem with MCT oils. If you take in enough of them, they do pass right through the whole intestine without digestion because your transportability for them is low. So that means you will have what Dr. James Hoffman has referred to as oily diarrhea.
Yeah.
Smooth, baby.
Pucano.
Yeah.
Apocalypse.
Apocalypse.
Or
The thing
apocalypse.
about oily diarrhea is the fart mechanism to release just gas doesn't work anymore.
Oh,
Right.
it's just spray.
So now you're just playing Russian
Explosive
roulette.
spray.
Totally.
Bro,
Yeah.
I had a bright blue Isopure diarrhea when we were leaving.
Whoa, are you serious?
Remember when I was like, I gotta go take a dump when we were getting in the
Yeah,
car?
yeah,
It was
yeah.
just like blue.
What? Are you okay?
I'm okay, yeah. But it was, I looked down and I was like, oh, and I was like, oh, okay. I've had that Isopure earlier. It just went right through me, dude. It was just like,
You need the Lord.
him and I have
You need to go
had
down to the
words.
jungle and do a dieta. Fix that.
Marcos,
Why are you scooting away?
You're shitting blue. I'm scooting away too if I could.
Have you ever had enough
Move
crunch
over.
berries to shit blue? I've done that.
I haven't had crunch berries in a long time.
There's some cereals will make your shit weird colors.
James, how old are you?
31.
Perfect. Next question.
Marcos, please. So MCTs, are they useful? No, they're not particularly useful. They're not what you would call something that's, ergogenic. They don't enhance much of anything. They're a fine food source if you keep in moderation, but they're not like, it's not something you come to the gym and you're like, I'm on MCTs now. It's not.
Are people like crazy dosing these? Is that the issue? Or are they like...
I think they don't do that anymore because of the diarrhea, but people, they're included in a bunch of products and it's supposed to be like, plus MCTs. It's just a fancy word, Yeah. Yeah. All right. Shiva's muscle. Cool.
Snake diet.
Sexy.
First thing that came to mind.
Next, snake diet. That was our advice for you, Shiva's muscle. Would be great if you could cover intermittent fasting and
God damn it.
hold, and this is
Yes.
just what people want to know, and 1 meal a day diets. Uses, and are they really worth?
On the last episode, we beat this one to death.
We got to beat it. James, for the next 100 episodes, we're going to be having at least one of these
Beat that
questions
bitch with a bat, James. Go ahead.
Well, it's just apparently Shiva's muscle. I mean, I don't know. Which is Shiva the one with the multiple
Snake.
arms, or is that...
No.
I'm getting my gods mixed up.
Ganesh has multiple arms.
Ganesh has
Elephant
multiple
god.
arms?
That's the
Shiva, I
elephant.
thought, also had multiple arms.
He's usually the snake guy.
Oh, really?
Shiva, yeah. That's
Oh,
why I said
okay.
snake diet.
Oh, so that's why the snake diet. Okay,
I
boom.
didn't even know there was a snake god. That's kind of scary. I don't want that motherfucker in my house. So, intermittent fasting for what? So what was the context? It was once daily eating.
Why?
So here,
There's a good episode of Metalocalypse. Did you ever watch that on...
I watched a bunch
Adult
with
Swim.
you, but I don't remember that particular episode.
There was an episode where they like adopted the once per day eating, and they would just eat like popsicles and stuff and like just go nuts.
Yeah, that's what most people end up doing. So a benefit, there's a couple benefits of once a day eating. First of all, you don't have to eat anymore, so you like have other shit to do, I guess. You don't have to pack any meals, which is cool. Another benefit is that potentially you can burn plenty of calories and lose a lot of weight, because it's really hard to make up in one meal what you haven't been eating all day. The thing is, some people with hunger, if they don't eat a little bit of food to kind of stoke the hunger, it doesn't really come up super big. And if they take in plenty of caffeine throughout the whole day, they never get really hungry until their meal. And then they eat 2,000 calories or whatever, but maybe their maintenance is 3, and they burn 1,000 calories a day. So it works for some people. Unfortunately, the downsides are many. First of all, real world, I don't know what kind of motherfucking job you do, but if you don't eat all day, you can't think, you can't fucking, you personal train people without fucking, are you kidding me right now?
I mean, loss of physical performance, cognitive function, you name it. It's like,
I look at people that are like, I feel really clear-headed when I'm not eating. I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with you?
you're
what are you
starving,
eating in
dog.
the first place?
Yeah, fuck.
Did Mel tell you about her? I don't know if he was an IT guy or a programmer, but there was a guy in her lab
Yep.
who would eat nothing, and he would just work on their computers and IT stuff all day. And then at some point, he would eat like an entire tray of brownies.
and pass out.
Yeah.
What kind of brownies?
No,
Maybe
just
space
regular ones,
brownies.
man. But yeah, it's not exactly conducive to high performance. It is a recipe for muscle loss and or suboptimal muscle conservation and or very suboptimal muscle building. You're not going to get jacked eating once a day. And if you do, you would have gotten way more jacked eating at least 4 times a day. So once daily eating, I mean, it's just the ultimate idea of a fad. You want a fad.
I was just
there
going
it
to
is.
say, Mike, help me with this one. When did IF become like so sensationalized?
A couple of years ago when Martin Burkhan started talking about how you don't really need to eat a bunch of times a day, and he was
Well, he's
not-
right. You don't need to. But
yeah, and he was like, I've got great results eating, and then like you scroll through all his results, and it was a bunch of skinny Norwegian kids, and you're like, sweet, you got, what was it, James? You remember you said, you were like, you went from being like a meh, like Nordic kid to like a skinny Nordic kid. Like, sweet, you're the man, you go to a metal show now and
Yeah.
have sort of abs. It's like 15-year-old abs where you just have a flat stomach even though you're a guy. So there's a lot of that. I mean, it is effective potentially. It's just not the most effective. If you're going to be looking into, if you're already on Instagram asking motherfuckers like us questions about shit, you're already investing some time because presumably you want some kind of like better than chance effect. Intermittent fasting is not better than chance. Just by chance, you will have a better diet than intermittent fasting.
the thing like with eating intermittent fasting versus, let's just say, eating more on a more regular schedule, not even like 6 or 7 times a day, but just
like
on a more
4 or
regular
something.
schedule, you get all the same benefits, but with the intermittent fasting, you get more cost, right? You don't really gain anything additional from doing the intermittent fasting, and it comes at a greater cost. And so it's just it's kind of a net balance. It's kind of a lose, and I don't really see what the appeal is. I think it's one
You
of
get
those.
to eat a lot of food in one meal in the evening, which is cool. But
think-
you have to starve the rest of the fucking day for that shit.
I think it's a trendy thing. I think it's people who are skinny that they don't want to like put in the effort to get jacked and like gain a lot of muscle weight. But they're looking for that one trick. Like, what's this one like life hack that I can do?
Yeah.
You know,
Stop looking for life hacks. Here's a life hack. Eat more protein. Here's another life hack. Train with weights regularly. Hack that shit, motherfucker. Beep, 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 beep.
Sorry, guys. The answer is there is no shortcut. Work hard. Stay disciplined. Sorry.
yeah.
Thanks, Dominican Arnold.
He's like very angry on
You
this
know,
one.
it's just it saddens me when I have to deal with people like this at the gym consistently, especially with first time clients. Of like, what do you think about this? And you get bombarded with these questions every day, and it's like, but that's not proven by science.
You'd be like, I think it's your ticket to
So-
not trying at all and still getting results. They're like,
Right.
really? You're like, no.
Exactly.
It's what's the fastest, shortest way to skip all this hard work and get there? How do I
Yes.
do that?
Dude,
Yes.
which is respectable. It's a quest for efficiency. But the answer
I get
is you
it,
have to
but
go through the
it's-
hard work intelligently. Intelligently going through the hard work. That's the answer. But that takes a little bit more thought than like, I'm just going to eat once a day. Like, wait, you're going to get those kinds of results. Motherfucker, when I see you in the street, I can tell you eat once a day. You don't even have to tell me you do intermittent fasting. I'm like, oh, wait, let me guess. Intermittent fasting? Like, yeah, how'd you know? Like, you look
no,
like a
no.
fucking clown.
Your eyes are bloodshot.
Yeah, you're going to die real soon.
Snake diet.
Snake diet, which is intermittent 2-day
It's the next
fasting.
level.
Yeah,
It's
48 hours.
IF 2.0.
Yeah, exactly. Next question. J. Lentramiento. What does that mean in Spanish?
No sé.
Great. How to gain strength the fastest way possible? Question mark. That's
Perfect.
it. That's
You
pure segue
are going
brilliance.
to drive down to Tijuana, run into every pharmacy.
You're gonna ask for a motherfucker named Carlos.
Take
No, don't ask him by
everything
looking him in the face because you
you
don't like
can.
that. Yeah.
Or gather the
So,
Dragon Balls and make a wish.
You don't have to do that. Marcos, that's a really stupid advice. I'm sorry for calling you
Sorry,
out. What
please.
you got to do is go to your
all the Dragon Balls.
You got a local veterinary clinic, and you say, I have 5 mastiffs at home, and they're very sick. They have a growth hormone disorder, all of them. They have an insulin secretion disorder. Now, funny enough, they secrete human-grade insulin. And they have all kinds of androgenic disorders.
Osteoporosis.
One of them is a badly burned, so he needs a shitload of halotestin. And that's my situation. And the veterinarian is going to look you in the face and be like, you know what, here you go. And she's going to pull out her fucking trench coat of fucking gear. That's it. Shazam. Now you said,
I can't believe you guys conveniently forgot to leave out Gakic.
oh yeah.
In the 2000s, there was this wonderful supplement from
Gakic.
Muscle Tech called Gakic.
Some of us have the book at home. Maybe I'll bring it in next
You
time.
have the book? There's a book?
Yeah.
Like a manual?
Yeah, well, when you buy all your... Back in the days, like...
You got a part, like a starter pack.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It'd come with a shirt, a shaker bottle that stunk extra after like 2 uses.
It's not sustainable.
The
shaker
shirt is
bottle.
like shrunk size. It like fits in your wallet. You unravel it. It's like the most
Like
wrinkles
they
you've
put in
ever
like
seen.
DVDs and stuff.
Yeah. VHS and cassettes.
That's right.
Oh, man. All right. And here's a good one. Right below that comment, an answer to that comment.
Oh, goody.
So we posted this on Instagram and said, questions for us on the podcast. A gentleman named Sean Heisey decided to answer for us.
Thank you, Sean.
We'll be sending you money. That's how that works.
Big ups.
He said, J. L. Tranimento, eat in a caloric surplus and lift heavy? Question mark. Basically, period. There's more to it, but too much for a comment.
So
That's what I was going to say.
I think like
Let's talk, James, real quick about why you would answer someone's questions when they didn't ask for your opinion and when it was clearly, purposefully directed at somebody else.
I think these are the same type of people who would make a fake Mike Israetel profile just to like,
You mean comment on YouTube?
and that too.
Yeah.
It's kind of audacious, right? Where you're like, this was not meant for you, and you're interjecting where it was not asked.
Yeah.
You know, and not to be a dick about it, but it's also kind of a level of audaciousness where you're like, well,
Clearly, they wanted my advice.
yeah,
I mean, I think a good thing is he was completely right. So, Sean, kudos to you. You did it, but kind of a trip. I'll tell you what. Here's what really trips me out. Sorry to keep going back to this, which I don't do. Things I don't do.
snake diet.
No. You guys know that Pornhub and shit, there's comments under every video, right?
I read them
There's a comment
sometimes.
section. Who the fuck writes comments on fucking
Sometimes
porn?
it's helpful because you'll see a porn star and
Oh
you're
my
like, who is
God.
that? And then somebody will say like, who is that? And then somebody will follow up and say, that's so and so.
Damn, you're right. Ah, fuck. God damn it, that was really good.
Most of the time, you're right, though. Most of the time, it's like, why are you commenting on this? Like, oh, fap, so great. But yeah, no one wants to see that, right?
And now we know why James doesn't sleep at night.
Yeah.
Marcos, pretend that you don't know every porn star's name and date of birth and all that shit.
No, trust me, my fiance keeps me busy. But it's like a morning thing for us. Like,
So you still have a need for reading the comment section of Pornhub.
sometimes it's just like a question, like, who is that?
Yeah.
Scott's writing us notes, which is helpful.
Shut up. Less porn talk.
Less porn.
Savage Resolve.
Wait, we're not done with this other
Oh,
one.
sorry. Continue, please.
So,
Caloric surplus. There's more to it.
Sean
Thanks for
answered.
a comment.
so I want to backtrack to the original question.
How to gain strength the fastest way possible.
So here's the problem.
Not a fast way. The fastest.
When you ask
Quickly.
this is unfortunately it's not a poor question in its sense of like trying to seek an answer, but it's a poorly phrased question. So if you ask a poorly phrased question, you get a poorly phrased answer. So you say, what's the fastest way to get stronger, right? Well, you lift weights and eat food, right?
Yeah.
There's your answer. What do you want to be stronger at? Do you want to be a strong, fit guy that like you feel good about yourself? You have a lot of self-confidence? Do you want to be a power lifter? Do you want to be a strong man? Those are completely different contexts.
So what's the rush? Like the fastest way possible. You got some kind of competition
exactly?
coming up where you need to be strong.
Why do you
really
need to be
soon?
strong fast? Like it's hard to answer those types of
There's
questions.
just some questions that people don't ask because they understand it's a journey. Nobody asks like, "Hey, what's the fastest way I can get a math PhD?" You're like, I'm pretty sure you have to like math.
Or how
and you
about, like,
the getting the PhD process? Nobody really cares.
Get
Like,
a cybernetic leg which uses hydraulics.
that's actually true.
Where can I get one?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So it's not that. Well, it's not like it's not. I'm not trying to be a dickhead, but like sometimes like bad questions yield bad answers. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
So,
I would have preferred to be like, what are the most effective ways to get strong, or maybe even better principles.
or like I'm trying to do my first powerlifting meet. You know, how can I work on getting towards my best total, or you know something like that, where it's like, okay, now we know the context. It's a little easier.
Or I want to walk into a gym in which Marcos Rodriguez works and do some shit with weights that impresses even him. What do I got to do, Marcos? What's it going to take, baby?
700-pound overhead squat with a 5-second pause at the bottom.
Holy crap!
4.5 seconds.
Well, you're short, so it's
Spine
easy.
Shoots out. Yeah, I've done that before. I can't say I haven't. That's why we're on the same show here. I impressed you significantly. Savage Resolve. That's a sweet fucking Instagram name. Hey, James, what's your Instagram name?
RP Dr. James.
That's lame.
I'd like to point out that I was the one who started that trend.
It's true. Now all the RP people have that. Marcos, what's yours?
Mr. Marcosis.
You mostly post psychedelic shit on there.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to do.
Whenever Marcos will tag me and stuff, and I was talking to him about this yesterday, and I'm always like, who's Marquois? Or what, Mrs. Marquois? And I'm like, who's tagging me in this? And then I'm like, oh, it's
I
Marcos.
just like to read it verbatim.
Learn
All
how
right.
to read.
I know.
It's true. Savage Resolve.
I had to give up on Twitter because I couldn't read it.
Oh, dude, I just my Facebook auto posts to Twitter. I haven't checked Twitter in months. Like,
Don't.
it's just there's no point. I
can't read it.
characters is so stupid. Why is it that training and diet? See, this is a really good question. Why is it that training and diet seem to be like dentistry? That is, there seems to be a great deal of quote unquote progress in most areas, yet we are still arguing about the basics of training and diet. Keto, intermittent fasting, carnivore. High frequency. Hold up. No,
my
there's
God.
more. Yeah.
Okay.
Hit, high frequency, high reps, low reps, no answers. Why? So one of those suppositions is false. It's not no answers, but why is a good question. So James, hit us with the rant and we'll get to it.
Not a rant. Sidebar. Have you guys tried the carnivore protein bar?
Yes.
It's amazing.
It's not amazing.
You get like initial like chocolate flavor, and it kind of
Tell
coats.
the audience what the carnivore bar is made
It's
of.
a beef bar, right? It's
But
got
it's
like
not
beef
jerky.
protein.
It's beef blended protein that's chocolate flavored.
So you get this like the
it's
chocolate
seriously
kind of
vomit-inducing.
coats your mouth, and initially, and you're like,
Chocolate.
oh, like a protein bar, and then all of a sudden it's like, bam,
It's like
steak.
an aftertaste of steak and blood.
Yeah. It's just like, it's so confusing. You have a bite and it's like almost funny where you're just like, what is this?
Vegans help.
No, seriously, it's the
It's like,
opposite of
tastes
veganism.
like beef. It tastes
It's like putting meat into places it doesn't even belong.
yeah.
literally.
And like, we had that pizza bar and we were joking about that before.
Yeah.
The pizza bar was just like, throw it out the window. The beef bar is like, it's not bad, but it's like dunking your steak in like a chocolate waterfall and then like shooting blood into your mouth afterwards.
which vampires probably love.
Yeah. It's so funny.
Here's a question for you guys, and we'll get back to this one in just a second. That's really pertinent. Do vampires eat regular food and drink regular water, or do they subsist entirely on blood?
Depends on which universe you're discussing, because like if you do Underworld,
Yes.
they can't eat regular food. They
can't?
vomit. Yeah.
Do they drink
Mike.
water?
I think they get the water from the blood.
Wow.
Duh. Just like you get clients that get their water from coffee from 10 cups a day.
That's true. Okay. And then what universe do they eat food in? Blade, they eat food, don't they?
Blade, I think they eat regular. They can. At least it's not restricted in that sense. They
like-
need to bring back Blade. Blade keeps getting shit on all the time. So
love
now
Blade.
it's like Black Panther
Can
just
we
came out,
train
right? So like
Wesley Snipes?
I would love to.
that would be amazing. I think he needs to.
Right in here.
He needs to catch up on his taxes first, and then
I think
did that
he's
already.
got that covered.
okay.
Expendables, man.
I loved Blade. Mike and I actually, when we were roommates, we had, I don't want to say a argument, but maybe like a little tiff where Mike was like, I want to watch Blade. And I was like, Mike, we were going to order it on the Amazon app, right? And
I was
like,
pay for it.
Mike, Blade is on TV every day. It's always on. So like, I feel bad paying for it. I want to pay for Blade. Mike was like, you're being really fussy right now. Admittedly, I was, but I was like, it's literally on every day. You can watch it.
I'd pay for it. What's your problem, James?
Yeah.
It was just, I was being cheap and stingy.
So we watched it, and then it was on like literally right after.
So you watched it again, double feature.
So we were
More
both
bang for your
validated, right?
It was
We're-
Blade 3, right? With the Pomeranians
And,
the
Triple
opening.
H.
Yeah, it was, I mean, talk about love. Also, Jessica Biel is in that.
And Ryan Reynolds, too, I believe, is Hamlet.
Yeah.
Jessica Biel.
So I hear.
Do you know her, Marcos?
Yes.
Biblically?
He also played Green Lantern and
God.
Deadpool.
Deadpool in 2 different movies.
True, that's weird.
Yep.
Unrelated movies.
Marvel
All right.
Universe.
So
I didn't
Savage
like
Resolve.
the first Deadpool rendition, sorry. The first one was like not great.
What? There's a first?
Well, like he appeared in one of the, I think it was a Wolverine movie as Deadpool. I think it was the Origins one. And
Oh, yeah.
it wasn't a great Deadpool rendition. And then when they redid it into the Deadpool movie, I thought it was better. But
Yeah, it was really good. That and him,
That's the whole point.
him banging the, what's her name? That girlfriend of his. The
I wanted him to
hooker
bang
girl.
the huge mutant chick.
Oh, the
I forgot her
MMA
name.
girl.
Is she an MMA fighter?
Yeah.
Really?
Yep.
What's her name?
Tito Ortiz. Next one.
We're bad with names. She's super hot.
You know, your head sort of is shaped like Tito Ortiz's.
It actually, I'll give it.
looks a little bit, right?
yeah.
Compliment.
Shit. Not really.
So anyway, Savage Resolve saying, why is training diet like dentistry, blah, blah. There seems to be a great deal of progress in most areas. We're still arguing about the basic training diet, blah, blah. So I'll tell you what. It's a problem of intelligent consumption. So there are two kinds of consumers. You can split them on sides of a spectrum. Consumers that consume scientifically and logically minded programming when they have been getting better programming all this whole time and benefiting. And there's individuals who just go for bullshit fads. Everything you listed is a bullshit fad in some extent, and bullshit fads will always be around. So it's one of those things where the average training information is improving, and the average kind of routine a person does is improving, because you should have seen some shit people were doing back in the 80s. It was completely insane. The average back then sucked. But you always was going to have this pollution with random bullshit going on. And that's always a feature. It is a declining feature. People do less bullshit on average decade to decade, but it's still around. And it doesn't, you say there's no answers. There are answers for sure. All this is really kind of settled stuff. And one of the confounders is the level of dedication you want. Can you get away with all this stuff if you're not super dedicated and you just want okay results? Yeah, totally.
I think what the disconnect there is when you're clumping these things into like fundamentals or basics, you're wrong, because they're not, right? People who are in the know understand what the fundamentals actually are, and they don't buy into these like fad programming or diet
It's not
schemes.
fancy. It's basic.
Right, it's very basic. So like when you say like the basics, like intermittent fasting, like that's not a basic thing. That's an advanced strategy that people can adopt after they know the basics. You know what I mean? And so for exercise physiologists, okay, for example, a good example of this is the keto thing. Mike, how many years? This is even before exercise physiology was even a field of study. Have they been documenting the effect on carbohydrate and the performance or lack thereof?
Yeah, it was decades.
This is before exercise physiology was even a thing. Then exercise science and exercise physiology came around. They have been beating this to death for over 60 years, that carbohydrates influence recovery and performance heavily. And if you restrict them, performance almost always goes down, except for some very, very specific circumstances. And people want to argue this like keto, 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 keto. And it's like, why? We've been beating this to death for 50, 60 years.
It's like news versus fake news. So whoever, I have a new program that I'm going to sell and it goes against everything RP does. So I'm just going to have a shit ton of fake studies that I'm going to publish. And,
Fake study. Yeah.
Are you Jacob Wilson?
Wow. Oof.
I'm comfortable saying that.
Shots fired.
No,
Fine.
but, it's...
Yeah, Scott, we know how much time
Thanks.
is left, okay? Fuck.
That's current time.
So I'm going to push whatever my agenda is, and I don't care who else, gets affected by it. Unfortunately, for the masses, for people that want to start getting in shape, you go online. Imagine our parents going online trying to be like, oh, how do I get fit? It's like 4 million things are going to pop up.
For sure.
The last thing that's going to be at that bottom of the list is super basic, simple science. Because that sounds really hard and boring to do. So
Tough to sell.
yeah.
I'm going to get as strong as possible.
Snake diet.
As
people,
fast as possible.
I don't fault
snake.
people for that problem. It's a normal problem where people say like, I want to lose weight. So what's the first thing that pops up? Jenny Craig, Weight Watchers, right? Like that's not their fault. That's just what happens.
Yeah.
But
Detox all day.
but when you say, when you kind of,
before that.
when you, it's confusing when you say like, when you clump these things together, that's only a product of, and this is going to sound mean, but it's not meant to be mean. It's a product of you being not in the know, right? People in the know,
Totally.
like who are in the field know that these are things that come and go.
Yep. Next question. Stefano Bravissimo.
Really?
What's that
Yeah.
mean?
Italian or some shit, right?
Yeah, no,
It's Bravissimo?
Yeah.
That's a sweet name.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Diet question.
If it's intermittent fasting, I'm going to kill you.
it's good. Diet question. What are your thoughts on clenbuterol?
That's not a diet question.
Do you eat fucking clenbuterol pills for calories, motherfucker? I hope not.
Well,
Thank you very much. I love you, Mike.
Okay, so maybe we can spin it. We'll give him some benefit of the doubt.
maybe he has asthma.
maybe like cut dieting and using clenbuterol.
Sure.
Is that something we can discuss, or is that too taboo?
No, we can discuss it. It's very dangerous. You gotta
Not
have,
legal.
It's not legal. You
In
gotta have
America
yeah, well, no, in Italy maybe it's legal.
or Canada.
Yeah, so maybe in Italy you can use it. You should use it very responsibly and never use it just by reading the forums. So don't go on the forums and getbig.net and be like clenbuterol cycles with a Z.
Dude, you know which was some of my favorite was the bodybuilding.com homebrews forum. Did you ever read that?
No.
It was basically
Jesus.
like how to make your own anabolics. And
Yeah.
people would post their like meth lab recipes and how to like do
Sweet.
it DIY.
Bathtub trend.
Yeah.
Goodness.
So just a real quick little word of advice here. If you're going to do something as hard as clenbuterol, just hire a prep coach. And they're really not that expensive.
That's the thing. There's people out
There's
there.
a lot of guys using it before. that have done
Before
it.
that, maybe check with your doctor to make sure you're healthy to do anything.
Yeah, that's
Anything.
absolutely right.
Any
Lastly,
fitness
don't do
endeavor.
drugs.
But there's people out there who you can pay for consultation
For
on
sure.
these things.
Totally. Don't just go on the forums, dude. And don't just go on advice you heard on a fucking podcast.
Or like what your
Like
buddy
ours.
did.
Yeah. I heard you have clenbuterol cycle, yes? Oh yeah, it's a Russian guy voice. I should have just done that the whole time. Yes, hello. We're here with James Hoffman, and he is, I don't know, weird American guy, and Marcos. You are, how you say, Dominican? Yes?
Of course.
I've been to your country many times. I love your women, and your sun is very hot. It's bright, good beaches. Yeah.
Thank you. Next question, please.
Arnold
Who
voice.
is your daddy and what does he do?
Get the fuck out of here. All right. Ooh. This name is insane. Interplanetary Ass Ninja.
Interplanetary SS Ninja.
Why have two asses,
Is that
motherfucker?
real?
Is that a Beastie
I
Boys
think
song?
it's Assassin Ninja or something, but it looks ass to me. Anyway,
Oh,
that's good
God.
enough. Interplanetary Assassin Ninja. How much stability work is really necessary,
Oh God
and
damn
can
it!
too much have a significant
God
negative
damn
impact
it.
on your other training?
God damn it!
What
Well-
is stability?
What is stability training? Secondly, do you live in a high earthquake prone zone? Like, you're a Japanese guy whose job is just like stick shit into a printer and Tokyo has an earthquake. And you're like, training coming in handy.
It's like
Salute.
Stan's dad on South Park.
That's it, man.
Okay, so like this again, this is a tough question for us to answer because let's say the context is you being a fit, healthy person trying to reduce your cardiovascular disease risk factors. How important is stability training? Can you walk around without falling on your ass? Like that's basically the extent of stability training that you need. If you are a high level gymnast who specializes on like beam
Most of
competition.
your training, stability training.
It's like all stability training, right? Like, or if you're a tightrope walker, okay,
Robin.
that's your whole life.
Yep.
So it's a very difficult question to answer. I'm willing to take a crack at it for sport purposes, and then if Mike, you want, and Marcos, you guys want to chime in on other stuff,
The Flying Graysons.
or are we just letting this one go?
No, you can hit it.
So if we're talking about sports, let's say your track and field sports, your team sports, your field sports, and let's exclude bodybuilding, powerlifting, weightlifting for this discussion.
Sure.
How much stability training is necessary? Is it necessary at all? What we have found for the most part is if you actually look at balance and stability task, there's two major confounders to success. The first one is really stupid, but bear with me. It's actually just familiarization with the test protocol.
Yep.
So what you find is that if you just have somebody do a balance and stability test, the first time they do it, they suck at it. But then the next time they do it, because they've learned and practiced a little bit, they get really good at it. So if they don't familiarize with the test protocol or whatever it is the assessment is, that's a huge confounder right away. Number two, world's biggest surprise, strength. The stronger you are, generally the better able you are to balance and stabilize yourself. So what we also have found is that a lot of your sport-related tasks are inherently unstable to some degree. What you might be on one leg, or you might be sprinting, or you might have another player pushing against you and you have to stay upright. Most of the stability training that you get in sport is actually accomplished through your sport training itself and almost never requires supplemental stability training outside of potentially like rehabilitation situations. So that's what I got.
As soon as you said that question, I just thought of like said trainer having said client on Bosu ball,
Yes.
upright or upside down, or some bullshit exercise in a stability ball. You know, been doing the same exercise with the client for 10 years, hasn't progressed. Client, it's like, oh man, it must be working because I still can't do this shit right. And it's like, no,
It's still
just
stimulative.
a fucking dumb ass exercise.
That's awesome.
You've been had. Your trainer's a con artist. Quit now. Get your money back. Get out. You're welcome.
Totally agree.
That's good advice.
Totally agree.
I like that because it continues to be challenging. They assume it's continuing to be stimulative.
It's like you need to achieve
No
mastery
bullshit.
at this thing, right?
No
Like,
bullshit.
teach me, sensei.
Guy at my gym, upside down Bosu ball. Client is doing a kettlebell curl and a single arm press down on the Kaiser machine. Same time. Boom.
Upside down on the stability ball.
Bosu ball.
Bosu ball. Fuck.
You guys are scientists. Break that down for me. I'll wait.
Well, you know what I'm saying? X to
one
the
of-
Z exhibit. As far as I got.
I can tell you that because of gravity, you can do that standing up and you'll get basically the same effect. You can modify.
Is that, yeah, I think that when the body is required to do many things at the same time, it just sucks at all of them. Yeah. So that person probably sucks at a lot of shit.
Like, think of how much more you could curl or tricep press down.
Or stand.
Both feet on the ground.
Both feet on a stable
That's actually something that's been, if you want to get real sciencey, that's been blown
Beaten to
apart,
death.
beaten to death in the scientific literature. Unstable surface or unstable conditions activates more muscles at the cost of how much force or power that can be produced in those movements.
Yep. So you basically get fucked over and you don't get as much of a training effect.
Exactly.
Your 1 rep max, we actually tested 1 rep. It was in the study where we tested 1 rep max on those Bosu ball thingies, like sort of half little wobbly
Half
boards.
domes?
Yeah, and it was 50% of your normal. By the way, like to get any strength adaptations that are meaningful past day 1 of training, you need at least 60 to 70% 1RM, and you physically are incapable of doing that, even if you're well trained on a fucking ball. So
I would
it
love
basically
to
is like,
see
how do I lift
The
weights
fucked
without
up,
getting stronger?
You know what,
Bosu
Mike?
ball.
It's a really funny conundrum too, because normally under training conditions where we say, as long as the relative effort, however you measure that, whether it's reps in reserve or a percentage of 1 rep max, or the relative effort, as long as that's good to go, you're mostly fine. This is one of those situations where the relative effort might be fine, but you're actually confined by the absolute effort, which is a rare scenario. You just literally are not lifting enough.
Yeah.
Right? Period. It's a weird thing.
Yep. I think people like shit to feel harder, but then it actually not to be harder. I got a really good way to make exercise feel harder. You guys ready for this shit?
Eat a bunch of,
Do it.
or stick a bunch of burritos in your ass.
Tell me now.
Do it now. You get a little beehive type shit, and you staple that motherfucker to your balls. But the balls are in the shit. The bees can't get out except through your
Wait,
balls.
time out. Did you staple it to your balls or did you put your balls in the beehive?
You put them in the beehive, and you seal that shit up with tape.
I'll take
Staple
2 Bosu
required.
balls. Thank you. I'm out.
It's good training. At some point, the bees discover that your balls are not labeled as their hive, smell-wise, and they will attack the enemy. Scott the sound guy.
And the expert.
James, have you ever had a bee bite your nuts?
I did. One of my
You mean
first
sting or bite? What's the difference?
I got stung
I
very
think, is
close to my private parts. I was with Mel
California.
in California. We was one of our first
California.
date
Fuck trips.
fuck trips, yeah. And we were on the beach. We had a great time at the beach, and we're just laying out. And I had kind of like a little pinch, like in my groin, and I was, sometimes you just feel weird stuff, and it just goes away.
You should probably get that checked out.
And so I was like, and then it didn't go away, and it starts to get more intense, and I'm like, and I was like, smack, and then like a dead bee came out, and I was like, and I did what you're not supposed to do, and I immediately like saw the stinger still in, and I pinched it and ripped it out, which you're not supposed to do that,
You're
but
not?
You were such
you're
a
supposed
man.
to scrape it out because when you pinch it,
It squirts more venom.
squirts more of the stuff. Not that it's like gonna fuck you that bad, but and I was like, oh my god, I almost got stung on my dick.
That's close. Did you bang in the changing rooms at the beach afterwards?
Yes.
Make me sick. Folks, I'd like to close this episode off by calling for a new wave of decency in America and the world. My God, all these adult films people are watching, Marcos, all this public sex James is having.
You can't just have like Mel out and about in her bikini and like, what am I supposed to do
You're
at that
supposed
point?
to exercise your sense of social responsibility, restrain
Decency.
until you get home.
Righteousness.
Missionary, 5 minutes, kiss on the cheek, go to sleep. You're welcome.
Nah.
That's your new life change.
Nah.
Welcome to life.
Or use a Bosu ball somehow.
That's how
Get creative.
The mind is boggled. Scott, we're done, huh?
Over and out.
Folks, it's been fun, it's been real, and it's been real fun. Next time, we'll have more of your questions and maybe even a guest. See you later.